Alright, what's up y'all, LakerFan here. As you can see by the title of today's video, we're here to showcase the best badge loadouts for every center build in NBA 2K22 Next Gen. Now mind you, the builds that I play on are mostly inside builds, whether it be the inside bigs or pure slasher builds, whatever the case may be, but we'll also talk about shooting bigs at the end of the video. For the most part though, we're here to talk about finishing, playmaking, and defense, the things that I do the most and what I want to kind of put you guys onto in terms of what I use, as well as the fact that I don't know how many people this is going to help out there, but for the people who did copy my build, word for word, piece for piece, I want to show you what I run or what I'd recommend for you guys to run as well. So I'm not exactly sure how well this video will do for views or retention or anything like that, but I do know one thing: it's going to help a lot of the people who made the exact same build as me, and I wanted to 100% help you guys when it comes to all that stuff, because I've seen a lot of you been asking about the badge loadout and stuff like that and what I would recommend in terms of what levels to run them. So that's what we're here to talk about in today's video. I hope y'all enjoy. If you do, for to drop a like, sub if you're new, turn on them noties, all that good stuff, and like always, try 1,000 likes. So first off, in this video I want to talk about the very basic thing that a lot of people probably know, but some people out there might not. So in terms of the badge loadouts, you have 3 of these things. You're going to see I have them labeled. I have 3v3, Pro-Am, and then 2v2/1v1. There's only 3 of these that you can have though, so I essentially have to split one between 2v2 and 1v1, so I'm able to just pretty much switch badges back and forth when I switch between the 2 game modes. But either way, ironically, for 3v3 and Pro-Am, you're going to see I literally don't change the badge loadout at all when it comes to the offense in terms of the finishing. Now for the playmaking and defense, it definitely varies quite a bit when it comes to these, but as you can see, finishing, it's 100% the same when it comes to 3v3 and Pro-Am, so we'll talk about that first and foremost. So the reason we maybe don't have as many of the same badges on 2v2 is that I don't need to run things like Lob City Finisher. I also don't find the need to run Mouse in the House super high when it comes to the 1v1 court, because literally people are just way too small to guard me anyway, so I don't need really that much of an efficient offense. Another similarity between all 3 of these badge loadouts is that I'm going to run Putback Boss on gold. Now for my build, this only cost me 3. It may depend on what your close shot, driving dunk, or standing dunk ratings are. For me, because all 3 of them are extremely high, running it on gold only costs 3 badge points. So this is where things kind of vary a little bit. It's a little bit hard to make videos like that, and that's why I've been a little bit more hesitant to do so. But at the end of the day, I really did want to bring you guys this video, even if it's going to be a little bit complicated. Now, other than that, the only big difference between 3v3 and Pro-Am loadout versus 2v2, I have a little bit more of post-score related things for the 1v1 and 2v2. So we have things like Back Down Punisher, Drop Stepper on gold, even things like Post Spin Technician I even run a little bit higher for the sake of 1v1 court. Now what I run lower on the 1v1 is going to be Mouse in the House. Now that's a little bit ironic at the same time too though, because on 1v1 is where I go against the smaller people for the most part. It's usually people around anywhere from 6'8" all the way down to like 6'2" or something like that. And you would think, well, Laker, why don't you just run Mouse in the House higher on that? Well, I feel like I can literally score 100% of the time against smaller people, regardless of what level I run this badge on, no matter what. So I really don't need it or depend upon it so much. What I maybe would even vouch for on the 1v1 court is to move your unstrippable even higher, because it's the only way people can really compete, to be honest, in terms of stopping you in the paint. Whereas for things like 3v3 or Pro-Am, you want more contested finishing ability, or again, just to be able to finish on maybe people who are playing hedge defense. If it's Pro-Am that we're talking about, I know this kind of varies based on rec or Pro-Am, but for Pro-Am, people put smaller, more mobile builds in the pick and roll defense to be able to stop the hedge def. They're pretty much there for hedge D to guard point guards while also playing the passing lanes on the bigs at the same time. Not many people keep their 7'3" on a 7'3". It's typically going to be your 7'3" in the corner, and he drops and rotates for the drops to be able to stop you in the paint, whereas they're not keeping that super tall guy up in the pick and roll D to be able to have to hang with the point guard in the pick and roll and to stop the big man when he mashes. So instead they can send the big man off the corner and stop the mash, and he's just right there. He doesn't have to really even be in the pick and roll defense for the point guard. Anyway, other than that tangent, we're pretty much talking about why I do think you want to run things like Mouse in the House, or again, things like Fast Twitch. We even have Fearless Finisher on, where I just want to be able to finish more contested, and the ball's not typically going to be in my hands quite as much. So running things like Unstrippable, Back Down Punisher, Drop Stepper, Post Spin Technician, it becomes a little bit redundant, because even if I do get the ball, they're probably just fouling me, to be honest with you. If I get a mismatch on me in Pro-Am, they can just get a foul, boom, we have to reset and get that exact set over and over again, and the more passing lane opportunities that you throw, the more likely it is for the team to get the ball. So what you want to be able to do in the pick and roll offense on Pro-Am is be a little bit more reliable when it comes to being a catch and finish guy, rather than to catch it, post up, do your moves, then finish. Because again, there's a lot of defenders out there. They're probably going to reach in on you if they're a mismatch where they're smaller than you, and again, you have like literally 6 fouls to give in Pro-Am, so it goes on and on. It works like that. Anyway, Other than that, that's pretty much about it for the finishing. Before we go off the finishing category, I do want to say two things though. One is that I have a lot more respect for putback boss than I ever did before, where I used to just say it was a stupid thing to have. It's gonna be a bad take if you go right up with another contested layup, but at the end of the day, dead zone in this game is pretty crazy, bro, and if you get those offensive rebounds, you might already be down there for the dead zone regardless. So having putback boss not only enhances your ability to get like actual putback dunks when you tap the X button, but on top of that too, if you grab it and go back up for the dunk, you might get a big man contact dunk, and then on top of that as well, it's still going to help you finish contested when it comes to the close shots, standing layups, all types of stuff like that. The next thing I wanted to talk about also is that you don't see any different level of limitless takeoff. I may have already talked about this, I don't know if I cut it out or not, but long story short, I think silver gets the job done 100% no matter what game mode you're in. I really don't think you need anything more than silver. Again, it's just for quick drops off one, they look the best, they're the quickest in the game, and you don't need anything higher than silver to be able to get good animations on them. And it costs too much, man. Honestly, like, this is strictly tied to driving dunk. If you're someone out there who's playing on a super tall big man, like at least a 7-footer or even all the way up to 7'3" or 7'2", whatever you get for bronze or silver limitless takeoff, they're good enough. And in this area where I have this super tall big and I don't have that great of driving dunk rating, it costs so much to be able to put this on gold. It'd literally be 5 badge points. I think that's a waste of badge points if you ask me, so I rock out on silver and we just call it a day at that. So not too much to talk about right here for the shooting, but as you guys can see, if you have an inside build and you made it as a rebirth, you actually get 1 out of 0 shooting badges, and if your close shot rating was high enough to the point where it forces your mid-range rating to go up, if you have at least 40 mid-range, you can have the bronze slippery off ball on your build. So is it convenient? Sure. Is it really like a game-breaking badge? No, not really at all. I mean, honestly, for the 1v1 court, obviously it doesn't even matter at all, but for the sake of 3v3 and Pro-Am, I like the idea of having it. On my 7'3", I actually have this on silver because my mid-range rating was so high because I put my close shot rating to 99, but at the end of the day, like I said, I don't think this is really the most game-breaking thing to have. Alright, so for Pro-Am on the Playmaking Badges, this may vary a lot, to be honest with you. I think in Pro-Am is the most important place to have Playmaking Badges as a big man. It really doesn't matter that much on 2s or 3s or anything like that, but for Pro-Am, you need to be able to be reliable to have the ball in your hand. So, for instance, let's talk about the unpluckable rating, and me having this on silver with 65 ball handle rating. So, when my point guard gets double teamed on the press break, I have to be able to get the ball and do something with it for me to not be a complete liability to the offense. And obviously the other team wants to force the ball into my hands. I have this lowest ball handle rating in the team, and I'm probably the least likely guy on the team to be able to do something with it. So for me to have a decent ball handle rating, a good unpluckable, badge cap and stuff like that, it definitely makes a lot of sense. So I'm always going to run this on the highest level. What I do want to mention too though of why Playmaking Badges are so important to have in Pro-Am is this may vary a lot based on how you play. For me, I play the 4 on this build right here of the 7-footer. I technically don't get as many rebounds as many people would as a big man. I probably end up getting like 6 to 8 rebounds a game, and my boy Tonic, who plays on a 7'3" shooting build at the 5, ends up getting around 8 to 9 or just somewhere around 8 as well, and we kind of duo the rebounds to an extent. So me running things like break starter on a Hall of Fame, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense for me. If you're a strictly like the only big man on your team, or you're playing rec and you play as a 7'3", you're likely going to get matched up with other people who aren't exactly as tall as you. Or who knows, maybe they pair you up with 2 7'3s. Either way, I will say if you are a super tall big and you're not really competing with your own teammates for the rebounds too often, I would run break starter on a high level. I think it's a really good badge. But for me, because I'm the pick and roll guy, I find a little bit of value in other badges as well. So I rock out with bronze on downhill. It really is kind of just what it is. It's not that great of a badge, but either way, I like to have things like needle threader on bronze. I also have, let's just say, post playmaker or bronze dimer. This is where I'm talking budgeting. So I only run post playmaker on silver because it would cost me 4 badges to put it on gold, whereas it only costs 2 to put on silver. Same with dimer, it would cost me 2 extra badges to put it on silver, aka 3 total. So I just rock out with bronze dimer, silver post playmaker, bronze needle threader. I think you can easily get away with going with a lot of bronze or silver playmaking badges in terms of budgeting in this game. And one thing that's clearly obvious is that you need the highest level of bullet pass you can get, whether that be for throwing outlets, in the half court offense, in the full court offense too, even at that. If I catch it and I have to go to my wing guy, because then they send the wing guy off of him onto me for a blitz. The story goes on and on, honestly, when it comes to Pro-Am, and you need to have bullet pass around the highest level. That's just kind of obvious. For the sake of 3v3 and 2v2, I mean, we'll just talk about 1v1, because I think 2s and 3s kind of go hand in hand, to be honest with you. For the sake of 1v1, just put literally anything on that can pertain to playmaking. Don't get caught out here with literally passing badges. Now, the one passing badge that I will advocate for, though, if you are hopping on the 1v1 court, is going to be special delivery. This right here actually could could make a difference in the way that you play. For me, at least, what it unlocks is the ability to throw alley-oops to yourself off the backboard, and if you get a forced pickup or something like that on the 1v1 court, this actually does help quite a bit to have this badge on. So I do recommend actually using this on the 1v1 court. If you are like me and you have literally way too many playmaking badges to even be convenient for you though on the 1v1 court, then hey man, just put it into things like downhill. It still works technically. If you grab the rebound and you run out to the perimeter, it's very minuscule as far as what it even does for you, but either way, it's something to put playmaking on. And then for threes, not much really changes. I just dropped the break start a little bit, put handles for days on, put floor general on. Now what I do want to mention though is if you are coming out here and playing Pro-Am, and maybe you don't have as many playmaking badges as I have, you don't really even have Unpluckable as an option, or you don't have Quick First Step as an option, it's kind of redundant for you to run downhill because you don't have any speed with ball or ball handle. I do absolutely recommend that if you're an inside big man, you 100% run floor general for your team. You're going to be the one helping your whole team shoot the ball because of having this, and honestly, at the end of the day, I think the one person that should be reliable or relied upon to have this is going to be the inside big man. If you're not getting your shooting ratings boosted, then you may as well be the one that's running it. Alright, so now onto the defense. I'm starting to realize too that maybe I should have just put 1v1 badge loadout and fit 2v2 and 3v3 into kind of the same thing, because 2s and 3s have a little bit more correlation to it than 2v2 and 1v1 would, where you can see this isn't exactly my 2v2 loadout. I would definitely have things like brick wall and box on, whereas for the 1v1 court, there's no point in having those rebounding or screen setting related badges, obviously, if you're the only person on the court. So we'll just more so talk about 3v3 and Pro-Am for this one right here. I will go back to this and talk about my 1v1 defensive badges though, as far as how I like to guard guards, or just talk about what I do for defense. But anyway, for 3v3 and Pro-Am, you're going to see I actually rock Hustler only on silver for Pro-Am. I feel like it's a little bit harder for me to kind of do things like that. I'm really more so in dogfights down low rather than trying to track rebounds down from long in Pro-Am, whereas like for 3v3, I'm coming out here and I might be setting a screen still while my guard's putting up a shot and I have to fly to the hoop and get the rebound. Now that's not to say that I don't have to do that for Pro-Am, but for Pro-Am, it gets a little bit tougher to run badges like that. Now as far as the big difference between my Pro-Am and 3v3 loadout, you're going to see two different badges that really kind of stand out between them. So really the only four that are even changing is going to be Interceptor, Worm, Intimidator, and Hustler. So for Pro-Am, I run Hustler on only silver, but that's because I can't really even afford it. Whereas for 3v3, I ended up dropping my Interceptor from silver to bronze, and I will say, man, I am loving how bronze works in terms of the actual budget. It just doesn't feel like it's worth running silver. So what I will say is I haven't even played on Pro-Am since the patch as far as the interception lanes. We'll get on it really soon though, but I will say I think you can confidently do this now. And this 2 extra defensive badge points goes a long way. You can either put it into Worm on silver, or you could have like Hall of Fame Chase Down Artist, you could have Hall of Fame Box, you could put it into Hall of Fame Pogo Stick. I don't think this one is necessary by any means, but I think what you really would want to do is put this to gold on Hustler. So as far as what we're looking at between 3v3 and Pro-Am now, the only thing that I'm really lacking on Pro-Am is going to be Worm. And the reason for that is I feel like I need the Hall of Fame Intimidator on Pro-Am. I am the hedge guy. I have to be able to ghost contest guards and then get back to the rebounds as well to fight in there with my boy Tonic when he drops down as well. He might steal a box out on the big man who crashes as well. And then boom, I have to fly in there and go crazy and like fly over everybody's head. So pretty much as far as box and stuff like that goes, it's not super necessary for me, but I still like to have it on. But again, what's really important is for me to have Intimidator on Hall of Fame. I have to play for those ghost contests. I have to stay in the guard's face when my PG gets beat, or my on-ball lockdown defender, I should say. When he gets beat on the screen or wherever the guard moves, I have to step to him, get the contest, and sometimes I have to actually just obviously put my hands up or jump at him. I obviously can't always just play for the ghost. That's only really good situations where we're playing amazing defense between the two of us. Now what I would like to run as well is Hall of Fame Chase Down Artist on Pro-Am, because there are times where me as a hedge defender, I don't want to rely on strictly rotations. I feel like it also gets you beat sometimes if you play strictly rotations, but I do still like to do it. So this is where I think the budget in all of this comes into play, where I can get gold Chase Down Artist for 3, whereas Hall of Fame cost me 5. So sometimes you have to just make a couple budgets here and there. And I really can't think of anything I would want to take down other than maybe to take Pogo Stick off completely, but that becomes a little bit sketchy if you ask me. What you are going to see too is I run Tireless Defender on bronze on all 3 of my loadouts. I pretty much just recommend doing this at all times. As far as the 1v1 court goes, I just rock out with like bronze post move lockdown. You 100% want Hall of Fame Hustler when it comes to the 1v1 court, bro. Regardless of what build you're on, you 100% want this on anything. Whether it's a missed dunk that flies up in the air, whether it's a shot that just went up and it's going a super long rebound, everything. Like it could even be poked balls or anything like that. You need Hustler on 1v1 court 100% on the highest level you can get it. I still think rocking out with Hall of Fame Intimidator, Gold Pogo, and Hall of Fame Rim is going to be a pretty obvious thing to do. You are also going to see one badge that never goes anywhere is going to be Hall of Fame Rim Protector. This is just a given, bro. Like, it literally helps you block shots. It gives you crazy takeover and your teammates crazy takeover when you have this. And then obviously it unlocks the snatch block animation. So it makes a whole lot of sense to do. So I'm 100% keeping it on everything. And then the only time I'm ever going to use Pickpocket is going to be for the 1v1 court, obviously. I mean, that's the only time I really end up on ball defense in like literally every situation. Now, even if I do want to end up on ball, I don't really have the steal rating to go crazy for steals or anything like that if I'm on threes or pro-am, so it's not even worth it on this tall build if you ask me to even run anything like Pickpocket. I just do it on the 1v1 court because what else am I going to put on for defense, really? It's not like Interceptor really makes any difference. Worm, it doesn't make any difference either. You're not going to get boxed out by somebody when you're playing 1v1. I mean, and then the list goes on. Like, you don't need box, you don't need brick wall, you don't need pick dodger. So again, for 1v1 court, it becomes a whole lot more simple to set up your badge loadout. So we're not going to talk about that way too much in this video. And then lastly, I want to talk about my takeovers because there's no loadout to this. There's no 3s, 2s, 1v1 court, pro-am loadout to this stuff. You have to change it on the fly. There's nothing you can do to just quick switch it. So pretty much how I feel about this is what I was rocking out for the 1v1 court. I have double stuff blocks on for that. Obviously for the 1v1, you don't need anything to do with like glass takeover or anything like that. And you could make the case for running secondary post takeover, but I feel like with how tall I am, there was no purpose to even do that. I'm so dominant. I just score every single play against these smaller people. So what's the point in having something that's going to help me play offense? It really made no sense to do that. Now, what I will say, though, is if you have maybe a big man that has a slash takeover or a post takeover, whatever the case may be, if you score a lot, you feel like you as an offensive player, you score a lot in the pick and roll or in the post-up game, whatever the case may be, you could actually run an offensive takeover in the slot 2, and it's going to help you get progress toward the slot 1 takeover. Now, what I will say, though, is for Pro-Am and 3v3 and 2v2 and all types of stuff like that, you guys have seen me lately. I'm rocking out with Double C the Future. This goes crazy, bro, when you double up on it, and you just instantly see where it's going to go when you have the double takeover activated. Clearly, you want to run things like Accelerator. It makes no sense to do anything otherwise. If you do, though, have a build that gets lock takeover, I will say, if you run Juice, your speed is going insane, bro. I forget what the exact ratings are, but for my 6'9" metric build, I rock out with like lock take primary and then slash take secondary. It doesn't matter. You could double it up on lock. You could double it up on slasher. As long as it's something that boosts your speed extra. In case anybody doesn't know, I made a video on the beginning of the year on that where pretty much it's talking about how much your ratings go up for what takeover you have on. Again, slash and lock both boost your speed by extra. So when you run Juice, I want to say that my 77 speed 6'9" build actually ends up with like 95 when I have like double takeover activated on 2 things that boost my speed. So if you have something that boosts speed, I will say Juice is a really fire takeover. I don't think anything else is worth it though. Maybe a shooting big, it makes a little bit of sense if you run like a sharp take, but honestly, other than that, I mean, let's just look at my ratings. It's not like Juice would really boost anything up way too high. Like if I ran rim take, the only thing that's going up really considerably would be interior defense going super crazy if I have Juice on. Or for post takeover, like, I mean, what's the point, bro? It's not like the close shot rating really changes that much, or with the post control, it is what it is. I mean, again, I don't really think it's worth my build running Juice takeover at all. And it's not like I have anything that boosts my physicals. So it really doesn't make any sense to do that. So really, it's just about Accelerator, if you ask me. Obviously, anything else doesn't matter, like Stay Warm. Who the heck would run that on a big man? Extender, you can make a case for it, but I don't think it's really worth, to be honest with you. I would just rock out with the double Accelerator and just run double takeover. Like if you ran Extender and ran double glass takeover, you're probably only gonna pop one of them, to be honest with you. Maybe you're built different and you just save up for double takeover while you have Extender on. That'd be crazy, but honestly, bro, I just don't think Extender's worth it. I just think you may as well just rock out with Accelerator and just pop double take with See the Future. Now, I will make a case for 2 other ones. Sponge is pretty interesting. I haven't been able to run it on anything other than my 6'6" build though. I can't unlock it anymore. I don't know why, bro. And then another thing that I haven't been able to get my hands on, but I've seen firsthand in the Pro-Am community is Sabador, bro. Sabador is crazy. Like, honestly, it's gonna drop their takeover like in an insane amount when you get a block or a steal or get a good shot contest on them, whatever the case may be. It's definitely worth running as a lockdown. If you're a big man and you get a lot of blocks, you feel like in the rec, you go crazy with this stuff and your takeover isn't really pivotal enough to you, if you feel like that, where let's just say like a rim take or a glass take or a post take, they don't make a lot of difference for you. If you somehow can unlock this, go for it, bro. But I will say it's a very hard takeover perk to unlock. You have to first do like the Mountain Dew Court or something like that, and then there's even more like quest BS that you have to look for every single day just in hopes that you unlock it. It's like a daily thing that only pops up once like a month, I think. And then lastly, I'm just going to use this build as an example to talk about what shooting badges you would want to put on a big man. Just because I don't do it very often doesn't mean I don't know what I'm talking about, but if you guys don't want to use my inference on this stuff or take my word of advice on this, obviously you don't have to or anything like that. But anyway, obviously with this build, we're just showcasing with the 7'2" that we have the Hall of Fame sniper with the 80 mid-range and the 75 three-pointer. This build is comp too, I'm not gonna lie. This actually looks really, really good. 93 close shot, 74 driving dunk is just enough for Silver Limitless takeoff. You have 90 standing dunk. Now, there is a way, I'm not gonna lie, I could have taken the time to set this up where you can make the 7'2" metric build to have 75 vertical, and it would give you the elite big man contact dunks. And then overall, this build is literally only lacking ball handle, speed with ball, and then some reliable post control, to be honest. And then obviously, you can make the case for 99 standing dunk instead of 90. But anyway, obviously, like I said, this build looks pretty good. I even would debate maybe making this, to be honest. Now, it's a little bit lower on the weight than most people would probably go with a 7'2" build, but I might even debate making this, to be honest with you. I think a lot of people have been hating on me when it comes to shooting, and we'll maybe even make that myself. But anyway, with this build, you only get rim and glass takeover. It is what it is. We're just here to showcase the badges. All right, so this right here is just the stock build. However, obviously, you could get the +4 off the college or just the rebirth, whatever the case may be. And then you still have the season rewards as well, where you maybe even have 4 extra. So you literally have like 8 extra badges you could put on this build if you have played the game really consistently, habitually, or you could at least have 4. So anyway, you could put like 1 more shooting on for like maybe silver clutch shooter or maybe bronze lucky 7. Here's my thing though. When you're this tall, I don't think there's really that much reason to run lucky number 7. I think this is more so a guard badge, and especially for park and especially 2s. Wherever you can get a quick shot off is where it makes most sense. If there's not inbounds, if there's not like, you know, you have to inbound from the baseline on Pro-Am and walk all the way up the court. And then even at that, again, if you're a big man, you're not getting the ball quick enough to ever use lucky 7. So that's how I feel about it. On 2s, it's a whole different story. You could run this on a higher level like bronze or silver to where it doesn't cost you too much. Don't know if gold would ever be worth it though, considering it costs 4. But again, the smaller the court is, the more the sense lucky 7 makes. Other than that though, I feel like this is pretty standard. Just corner specialist, blinders, catch and shoot, deadeye. Green machine is maybe a little bit skeptical. You can maybe just run it on bronze and run something else. Hall of Fame sniper, pretty much a must-have if you have the badge. I don't see why you wouldn't just put that on. Again, silver hot zone hunter makes a lot of sense. Maybe just bronze clutch shooter is about as simple as it gets. Now, if you want to run things like set shooter, if you feel like you're just gonna like sit there and be open for that long, I guess I understand. I don't think volume shooter makes a lot of sense at all for a big man, considering you're probably just playing your role. You're probably only getting like 3 shots up a game or something like that when it comes to the jump shots, if that. Slippery off ball, you could make the case for if you're a pick and popper, pick and roll guy, where you're doing something like what this build would be, where it's kind of the intermediate between both. You could do pick and roll and pick and pop. Maybe if you want to run on bronze or silver, I would understand that. Even gold actually only costs 3, so maybe it's valid. I'm not gonna lie. Limitless spot up, again, I don't think you're shooting from that deep, especially with a 3-point rating like this, so I wouldn't even recommend that. The only way you could really change anything to do with this badge loadout is if you're someone who likes to do post fades or post hooks. But even at that, badges like hot zone hunter and corner specialist help your hooks. So honestly, I just think hooks are better than fades overall, and the fact that it can use up your finishing badges instead of shooting, I think that's kind of a dub, to be honest with you. Like, to run 6 shooting badges for Hall of Fame fade ace, just for you to only have like literally 80 mid-range versus instead you could have like 93 close shot. So I don't know, to be honest with you, I think post hooks are definitely just better and more reliable and more efficient than post fades anyway. So anyway, that's all for the video. Hope y'all enjoyed. If you did, feel free to drop a like, sub if you're new, turn on the noties, all that good stuff, and like always, tries 1 in 1,000 likes. I do apologize to an extent if the badge counts don't exactly look the same for you. Like, for instance, my build literally gets like 40 finishing and like 18 playmaking, has different playmaking loadouts than, let's say, someone who doesn't have any ball handle at all as well. So it's a little bit easier with builds like this to figure out what you want to put your playmaking on, because you only have 15 and you don't have anything to do with ball handling on it. So it's pretty obvious. I mean, you just put things like bullet passer on. It's all passing related badges. Whereas also, maybe you don't have the same badge loadout as me on defense, where maybe I had a couple different max caps that I had or anything like that, or I just decided to run things in a different way. But again, I more so made this video for the people who are looking for my feedback on what badges I like to run and at what levels and stuff like that and how I use them. So I just wanted to make this video to help the community out and help my community out more so. So if you guys did enjoy this and you aren't already a part of my community and you want to drop a sub, I would appreciate that. If you're a new viewer or anything like that, or if you've been watching for a while and just haven't decided to sub, feel free to go for it, man. But at the end of the day, I don't want to sit here and beg you guys for it. I want a community that actually like cares about what I have to say and stuff like that. So if you aren't messing with the videos, listen, man, just go ahead and I mean, do what you please. But anyway, that's off video. If you made it to the end, put badge in the comments to show support to me all the way through, or put finishing, whatever category you want. Put finishing, shooting, playmaking, defense, or like I said, just put badge. It doesn't matter to me. Just show your support that you made it to the end of the video. And other than that, I hope y'all enjoyed. Take it easy, man. Peace.